Yes, yes, yes. And it's a wonderful good morning. Good morning, Long Island. Good morning, New York. Good morning, America. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, my neighbors.
There he is, screaming. You got
Screaming.
the ear. That was a good
That's it.
scream. That was good. I turned up the volume this morning.
I mean,
so
I'm
it's
not
a
doing
little,
the impression today, so
no,
it's
good
okay.
thing because I would have no ear.
That's good.
And my ears are so big, I'm going to fly away.
Yes.
But we are here with a very special guest today, taking back New York. That's what's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. Are probably our biggest in-studio guest ever. And, you know, we've heard, we have spoken about this gentleman a long time friend of ours, the strongest candidate in the race right now. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the America First Media Campus and to the Loud Majority Studios, the next governor of New York State, Lee Zeldin.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Thanks for coming in.
There he is.
Oh, this is going to be fun. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for coming by so early in the morning. We appreciate
Very early in the morning.
working out your schedule for that. This is great.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And Lee,
And the most
do me a
excited
favor.
person in the chat.
Just look at that camera right there that's in front of you and just say hi to your mom, okay? Because she's watching. She's watching, and she's doing a great job.
Glad I got my Happy Mother's Day in yesterday, but I'll throw another one in now that we're live.
Yes, happy Mother's Day
All
to
the
everybody
moms
out
out there, I hope everybody had a good Mother's Day.
Yeah, we hope so. So it's been a great couple of weeks that you've been campaigning. Why don't you tell everybody what you've been up to, where you've been, how's New York looking?
It's been busy. I mean, we had a 6-day swing. We got back in the middle of last week. We were all over the state, and the response was awesome, from the Hamburg Fairground gun show to a great group of patriots that we got together with in Monroe County, where Rochester is. We were in Gates. We were in Syracuse, Albany, Glens Falls, and we're just going to keep working hard. I got in this race about 13 months ago, and in the first 6 months, we had campaigned in every county in the state at least twice. A bunch of the counties we've been to a lot more than that, but we just kept on going. It's a big state, and our attitude is there's no county too big, no county too small. We need everybody everywhere, all in, taking nothing for granted. And we all have to operate with the mentality that losing is not an option. We're battling for the heart and soul of our country and our state, and we can't settle for second here. We can't come up just short. So that motivates me every morning when I wake up to work as hard as I can every day.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And, you know, we've been telling people, you know, there's a lot of, as we travel the country, you know, New York, it's going to be blue, it's going to be blue. And we tell them that, look, if it's ever going to happen, it's going to happen this year. We've got a great candidate. We have a president that everyone hates.
right.
I mean, I've never met a Joe Biden fan other than my aunt.
I haven't found one.
Which made yesterday pretty
Except I
awkward.
was in Shirley once at a gas station. Somebody did have a Biden-Harris sticker. I was pumping, and this was way before the whole big increase, you know, back in maybe August of last year. And I saw the Biden-Harris bumper sticker, and I just calmly said to myself, don't say anything. Just pump the gas and leave. You're in Shirley. I used to work at the Sherwin-Williams right there. As a matter of fact, I know that you went to Gerardo's Pizzeria when they opened. They told me. Lee Zeldin came in here. I said,
right.
oh, great. But I said, don't say anything. And, you know, I saw what I was paying for gas, which at that point was double what I was used to paying. Now it's quadruple. And I just said to the person, I said, excuse me. And they said, yeah. I said, thank you.
Excuse me.
Oh, my gosh.
And they
seriously.
said, thank you for what? I said, for what I just paid for gas. I have never wanted to pay this much before, and I'm so excited because of people like you that I'm paying this price.
You know,
for
last
gasoline.
week when we're on this trip, we're at a red light, and we're looking at the high cost of diesel on this digital screen. While we were at the red light, the cost goes up. It's like, oh, wow, you know, like that rarely happens that
Right.
you're actually watching the screen when it goes up. And while we're sitting in the red light, like 5 seconds later, it jumps up again.
Really?
I mean, and this isn't insignificant increases, too. I mean, we have seen it go way up. And this is the cost of putting oil in your tank at home. Meanwhile, the people who control Albany, outsized power of people who self-describe as socialists,
Right.
the session is about to end at the beginning of June. They're talking about banning all gas hookups on new construction statewide. We sit on the Marcellus and Utica shales. We should be safely extracting this energy. We should be approving new pipeline applications. It's just night and day when you look at energy policy.
Yeah. And now, let's put yourself in Albany, because that's where you're going. All right, I know we could do knocking on wood, and I'm a Jet fan, and, you know, we don't count the chickens, but you're not the New York Jets because you've actually won in the past. You know, besides once and getting lucky, right? The Jets did in 1969. But you're in Albany. You're the governor of New York. what can your office or what can your direction do to help with some of this? Because we see the federal government is overreaching in a lot of areas. We saw COVID mandates. We've seen all these things. We see that shutting down Keystone XL and surrendering energy independence and what that's done. But what can you do at the state level that could ease some of this and kind of protect New Yorkers from the government, from the federal government?
Well, a few things. One is, as I mentioned, we need to reverse the ban on the safe extraction of natural gas from the southern tier, these other counties. They want to be able to tap into it. You could create jobs, generate revenue. You can revitalize these communities. It's desperately needed. On top of that, there are these pipeline applications that are collecting dust right now in Albany, being delayed, denied. They should be getting approved. We saw some action in suspending partially the gas tax. This is part of the debate at different levels of government, but they're talking about going further in a couple different ways. One is, as I mentioned, they want to pass this new bill that would ban all gas hookups statewide. The Williams pipeline was going to come bring natural gas in and through New York City. De Blasio, Jumaane Williams, AOC, their friends, they block it. Con Ed, National Grid say, okay, no more gas hookups. Then the New York City Council passes a bill saying no more gas hookups citywide. Now they want to do that statewide. But they have a new bill where essentially if you pass this new bill, part of their Green New Deal climate change agenda up in Albany, it would increase the cost of gas. The tax would be like 55 cents a gallon. But it would increase propane, natural gas, home heating oil. So by having a governor who is right now willing to sign all of this crap, and instead you have a governor who would be vetoing it, I mean, that's night and day, even if the Democrats still controlled the state legislature. But the DEC and the state agencies could start approving some of these pipelines. I mean, you see the direction that we're on right now, and people just can't afford it. They hit these climate goals. They have these dates that you just cannot achieve that date without causing pain for people who can least afford it. And then on top of it, they don't have an all of the above mentality. It's if you want to put solar panels on your home, put solar panels on your home.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea that you're going to put solar panels on your home and you're going to pursue a policy that says that your next door neighbor is not allowed to hook up into gas, I have a problem with that. We need choice. We need options. We need more supply. We need more supply here on Long Island, but it's a statewide issue. We don't have the supply to do what they want to do, limiting the energy supply sources as much as they want to.
Absolutely. And, I've been saying it for years. I think solar panels are great. They're a good backup. But the fact is they just can't run New York City.
I saw people.
I know in Philadelphia, Lincoln Financial Field, they have solar panels on the side.
Right.
Solar panels on the entire outside of a stadium.
Yeah.
Still doesn't power just the stadium.
I remember the blackout of '03, and there was someone outside the West Babylon High School had a house, and he had solar panels on top of the house. He was the only one in the town with power, and everyone said, "Solar, that's the way we'll always keep the lights on." And what happens when it gets dark? What happens when it's cloudy?
When everyone in the neighborhood is using his charger.
Exactly. There's not enough energy, and it's not that I've grown up camping. You did too. The beaches. You're from Shirley. You know how important it is to keep the beaches clean. No one's saying that we want to just go out there and destroy the countryside in New York. That's what they say. Obviously the cleanest and most environmentally respectful way we should look to do that because we have a beautiful state. You've been touring the state. I love Long Island, but we have a beautiful state. I go upstate all the time, and it's a really nice place.
Now, one thing everyone's talking about are these COVID vaccine mandates.
Yes.
Now, this will get us kicked off YouTube, but whatever.
That's okay. We'll just
put it back on Rumble.
It's fine. We're on Rumble. Rumble's no one takes us
as far
down.
as these vaccine mandates go for schools, where are we at once you get to Albany?
So right now they're trying to get a new bill passed in the state legislature. There's a bill that exists where they want kids to have to get the COVID shot in order to attend classes in the fall. It's a bad idea. I totally oppose it. I would veto it if it came in front of me to get signed. I believe that all COVID mandates should end. I've long stated that on day one, any COVID mandates that still exist are gone. While we're here having this conversation, toddlers inside of New York City are still wearing masks. That's child abuse. It's unscientific. It's wrong. They have the vaccine mandate inside of New York City, but they have these special celebrity exceptions to it. So, if you play for the Nets, the Mets, the Yankees, you don't have to get it. But if you're a firefighter, NYPD, a teacher, a healthcare worker, well, if you don't get it, then you're fired. I think everyone who's been fired for not getting the COVID shot should get their jobs back with back pay.
I think so too.
Absolutely.
That's a great thing.
That's a great thing.
I mean, we shouldn't have any mandates right now. Listen, I just saw the news that Governor Hochul, she now has COVID, and she's triple vaxxed or whatever. Like the whole definition of vaccine has changed.
Yes.
That they used to be, and I'm in the Army, so I remember days when I was in the Army and they were just, like they were putting multiple needles in my arm. And I'm like, I don't even know what they're putting in me. I have vaccines in me from my life, and the definition was always that they put that needle in you, and then what they're giving you a vaccine for, you're now not going to get it.
Prevent illness. Illness.
And now they're changing it. And listen, if you want to get the COVID vaccine, get it. If you don't want to get it, don't get it. But the governor shouldn't be telling you that you have to get it. And the governor called on New Yorkers to be her apostles and to get it. We don't want to be ruled by an emperor in this state. For me, I just had reserve duty the last 2 days. I have reserve duty this upcoming weekend. 2 weekends in a row. I still serve. The end of this month, I finished my 19th year. I love serving in the military. I like wearing that suit more than wearing this suit. And by the way, military getting tossed out too for not getting it. I believe that public service is about serving the public. There are people in public service who believe that public service is about being served by the public. And you've seen it with Kathy Hochul. And, I mean, she's put healthcare workers in the middle of a healthcare worker shortage out of a job. I don't think the state should have gotten rid of the religious exemption when they did a few years ago. I support bringing the religious exemption back. And we should just be more respectful of individual liberty, of personal freedom, of medical freedom.
Absolutely. And, the religious exemption we see a lot, particularly in Brooklyn or in Rockland County with the Orthodox Jewish community, that a lot of times those exemptions are so central to what people believe and how they feel, and to see that ripped away. I mean, what blew my mind with the COVID vaccine with the Navy SEALs. I mean, these are the most in shape, best fit people on planet Earth, and you're going to boot them out? Like, these are the last people you think are going to be in danger of this sort of disease.
And then on top of it, you have the person who got COVID. And I mean, you read it, it's been in studies all over the place. I mean, Johns Hopkins came out with a study. Their research, we're supposed to follow the research, the science, the data, the experts. Well, they said that there's this thing called natural immunity. And that if you don't have the shot, but you had COVID, that you have more protection than if you didn't have COVID and you get the shot. Now, that's what the scientists are telling you. So the idea that you're going to get Omicron this past December, and then you're going to get fired 3 weeks later because you didn't get the shot, but your body is loaded up with the antibodies, according to the experts. Now, other countries recognize natural immunity, and these people are losing their jobs because folks who were heroes, who you're trying to turn into zeros. I have a problem with it, especially when you're not following the science.
Right. Yeah. Let me ask you a question about the military, too. People getting booted from the military, dishonorable discharge. As far as I was told, that means that lady or sir, ma'am, whoever it is that gets kicked out of the military or is discharged dishonorably, not allowed to own a firearm. Is that true if you're dishonorably discharged from the military?
So the people who are being removed administratively. There are 3 different ways that they could be removed. There's 3 different types of discharge. You could get an honorable discharge, you could get a general discharge under honorable conditions, and an other than honorable discharge. There's 2 other ways to get discharged from the military: a bad conduct discharge and a dishonorable discharge. Those 2 require a court martial.
Okay.
So the people who are getting removed administratively can get any one of those 3. I mean, all 3 are wrong.
Sure.
Somebody who loves serving. Imagine being like 16, 17, 18 years along in a career. You're planning on retiring. You earned it. You might have deployed 10 times.
Right.
And they're putting you all of a sudden on the streets. Now, if you get an other than honorable discharge, there is a long list of stuff that you were counting on that you have lost out on. I mean, you might call them benefits, you might call them entitlements. They are earned.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
You serve the country, right? You know what I mean? So that's
absolutely. And there was one when we did the Brooklyn Bridge event with Scott Lebedo. There was a fireman there who made it through 9/11 and lost his job over the
that's
COVID
heartbreaking.
vax. Guy made it through, and I think he was a first, second year guy. Got fired for not taking the COVID vaccine.
That's heartbreaking.
It was unbelievable. And then you wonder why there's a shortage of emergency workers.
Yeah.
Well, you fired them all.
Yeah.
You wonder why there's a shortage on nurses.
And
you fired them all.
Your plan is to give them in the state, obviously state workers. There's nothing you can do for federal workers, correct? In your position.
Well, correct. Except we can offer jobs to people who might be a federal, some federal law enforcement officer gets put out on the street.
Right.
listen, New York we welcome you. You're a hero.
But your plan is to, as the governor, if you were to, win the race in November, reinstated with back pay for those folks you lost with the vaccine.
I believe that is something that should happen on day one. And all COVID mandates that are still in place, there should be no more COVID mandates in the state. My personal belief is that anybody who is fired should get their jobs back with back pay. It's something that should happen right now. It's the right thing. Meanwhile, more people continue to get fired.
Pressing matter right now. Obviously, school boards are coming up in about 8 days. We're voting for school boards across Long Island. You've got 2 children in public schools, right? How do you feel? What do you feel the parent? You're a parent. Your wife is a parent. What do you feel a parent's role in education is? How will you, will you give parents more ability and access to education, or encourage that as the governor? And what is your plans for education in the state? Because it's a hot button issue right now.
There's a crazy low turnout when we go out for school board elections. Everybody who's out there needs to get out and vote. And if you can't vote, make sure you get absentee ballot if you're not going to be around next week. We have great candidates who are stepping up to run. They agree that a parent, and this is my strong belief, a parent has a fundamental right to control the upbringing of their child. And when that parent decides to send their kid off to school, none of that right is relinquished to that educator, to the government. You are still in control of your kid's upbringing. The best thing for a kid's education is for a parent to be as involved as possible. The best thing for a kid's upbringing is for a family unit to be as strong as possible. I believe that we have too much material in the schools, not just in our state, but around the country, where it's divisive. We're pitting one student against another kid based on race or some other factor. These kids were getting along just fine until the government, the educator, the school, the teacher comes in trying to bring their own thoughts, their own ideology. There's somehow not enough bandwidth inside the classroom to teach more civics and American history as to why and how we get to live in the greatest country in the history of the world. But they want to claim that they have unlimited bandwidth to be brainwashing students, indoctrinating students into thinking that they live in this deeply flawed country that they should have some level of hate towards. I love our country, our flag, our freedom. It's something I'd lay down my life in defense of. So I believe we need more civics inside of the class, less of the divisive curriculum pitting students against each other. Sex education, I had 11th grade health class. I remember the material that came up in that class. We now have this situation where if you're some 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade student, you raise your hand and you have some creative question, maybe your older brother put in your head, and you ask the teacher, it needs to be a policy in all over 700 school districts in the state that when that happens, the teacher does not answer that kid's question. And that is not a moment where that teacher answers however they want to answer to provide an education on sex to all of the kids in that class. What you need to do is go to that kid's parent and let the parent deal with the answer to that question at home. That shouldn't be dealt with inside the class. But more advanced academics, more apprenticeship classes inside of school, so that if you're not going to go off to college, that your diploma is worth more and there's a job waiting for you on the other end. I mean, you should have a job the next day waiting for you. You get the hands on the equipment, the experience, the handoff to the trades. There's so much more that needs to be done inside of education inside of this state. And simply my point is that our kids go to school for a quality education. Don't try to indoctrinate my kid. Don't try to brainwash my kid. Just give them a quality education. And kudos to all the parents stepping up, fighting not just for their kids, but fighting for our kids. At the end of the day, I mean, listen, I appreciate our teachers. The teacher who is willing to sign up for the toughest assignment in like the worst performing public school in New York City. I'm like, God bless that teacher for willing to do that. But it's about the students first. It's about the students and the parents and the teachers, students first, in that order. Mm-hmm. And we have these people willing to step up and run for these positions. And it's not for the pay. It's not for the pension. It's not for the medical benefits. Right. They're doing it because they love our kids.
And one last question about it. You're obviously running with Allison Esposito. She's incredible. Your running mate, Lieutenant Governor. Safety is a big deal in New York State. And she was NYPD. And you have mentioned on so many occasions out speaking, and whether it's at a rally or at some other events, about Alvin Bragg. Something's got to be done about this guy. We're seeing what's happening in Philadelphia with their district attorney and in Los Angeles with Gascon recently. What can you do if you're elected governor about this Alvin Bragg scenario?
Fire him day one.
Fire Alvin Bragg day one.
I am making that pledge right here on air. By the way, I have said this elsewhere, and people would be out there listening like, how can you do that? You're the governor of the state of New York. How can you fire a district attorney? Well, it's actually in the New York State Constitution. Mm-hmm. That a governor can fire a district attorney who refuses to enforce the law. Why would you have that provision if you're not going to use it on a guy who refuses to enforce the law? He took an oath, and then right after he signed the oath, he then put out this day one memo across the board, all sorts of offenses he said that he was not going to charge. Other offenses he was going to treat as these lesser offenses. If you want to change the law, go up to Albany, you try to advocate to the state legislators and the governor and try to change the law if you think that should not be a law. But you don't just not enforce these laws across the books. If you think that DA stands for defense attorney and not district attorney, go be a defense attorney.
Right.
Mm-hmm. The first day that I am in office, I'm going to fire Alvin Bragg. Now, he's entitled to a hearing. He will have that. It's not like, on the first day, you say he's fired, and then he just instantly gets escorted out of the office. He will get a hearing. But at the end of that, it's clear. I mean, he is fired for his refusal to enforce the law. Maybe he gets his day in court. But why does the governor of the state of New York have this authority, if not to use it on someone who's refusing to do his job like this?
Absolutely. And, we believe in due process here in all instances, and Alvin Bragg deserves his day in court, just like all the people he's letting out with no bail. I mean, we see, now when you're on the subway, you actually have to watch out for hammers.
Yeah, it's not good.
Like where are we living? It's the 1980s all over again.
Well, and to that point is that, Kathy Hochul only wants to talk about guns. Mm-hmm. And what about all of these other crimes that are being committed that have nothing to do with guns? Right. Yeah, people are being beaten with hammers. They're being beaten with fists. Mm-hmm. They're being stabbed with knives to death in some of these cases. You have entire communities under attack. We just had a rabbi in Crown Heights beaten up Friday. He was on his way to Great Neck. The Asian American community, someone pushed in front of an oncoming subway car, stabbed to death in their apartment in Lower Manhattan. Some Sikh cab driver because they might look different. You have people inside of New York City. It doesn't matter. We're Republican, Democrat, Independent, conservative, moderate, liberal. They do not feel safe on our streets and in our subways. We should repeal cashless bail. We should fire DAs who refuse to enforce the law. We should be supporting our men and women in blue who are willing to lay down their life in defense of the three of us. Right. For everyone who's listening at home, they're willing to lay down their life for someone who spits in their face 5 minutes before that and calls them a racist. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If that person's now going back to their car in the parking lot and they get attacked, that same law enforcement officer will give up their life to defend that person. Mm-hmm. That's something for some of those people to be thinking about. Oh, and by the way, the money that you're donating to, BLM, they're living the high life. It's not even going towards the cause that they're selling you.
Buy large mansions is what I call it. That's what's happening.
Yeah, that's what BLM stands for, buy large mansions.
Just one more question. I know you have to go. One more question before you split, and it's I looked at your 10-point plan. You got it on your Facebook, all over your social media, and I saw it on there listed in my face. I mean, I lit up like a Christmas tree. Voter identification is a part of your 10-point plan. There's a lot of people who are, there's a movie out, as you know, the documentary Dinesh D'Souza, and there's a lot that's come out, recently, and we know what you had done bravely, on the 6th of January when you objected to Pennsylvania, I believe it was.
Yeah, Pennsylvania and Arizona.
Arizona as well.
And that's pretty much what that whole movie was about.
Pennsylvania
and Arizona.
But voter ID, it was on your 10-point plan. That makes me happy. It's going to make a lot of people happy. What are your plans in terms of how you're going to roll that out across the state if you get the chance?
Well, I believe that we should have voter identification for our elections. I believe it should be in all 50 states.
I believe
New York included. I believe that we shouldn't be giving non-citizens the right to vote. Right now in New York City, the November 2023 election, hundreds of thousands of non-citizens will be given the right to vote. I believe that it's a protected American principle and right that U.S. citizens are given one person, one vote. When you give non-citizens a vote, that is diluting the one person, one vote principle and right. I care about election integrity. We should all care about it, regardless of whether your candidate comes in first or second in any election. If anyone has an idea the day after an election as to how to make, or a year after an election, if anyone has any idea to make an election operate better, we should always be welcoming that. I'm highly suspicious of the person who doesn't want to hear your idea.
Right.
Now, some people want to pursue ballot harvesting. That is getting legalized in some places. I believe that it should be illegal. We fortunately, this past November, saw New York voters, the will of the people, and this was not just Republicans, this is with independents and Democrats too. They voted no on same-day voter registration, on no excuse absentee balloting. In my district, in the 1st Congressional District, whenever we have an election, we lean into all the laws that are on the books. We have laws that are on the books in New York that are actually stronger than some red states.
Wow.
We have poll watchers there. Poll watchers when you vote, poll watchers when you open the ballot. We could do signature verification in the state. If the signatures don't match, you can submit an objection. If you hold the objection, then a judge has to decide on your objection. If you request an absentee ballot for a dead relative in the 1st Congressional District, we got you arrested because you're not allowed to do that.
Wow.
That is illegal.
Wow.
So we care about election integrity strongly. My issue as it relates to what happened in 2020, above all other issues, is that you had non-state legislative actors changing the way the elections were being administered in their state. So if you're some elections commissioner in some county in Wisconsin telling your people how to get around a signature verification law and a voter ID law, that's wrong. You're not the state legislature. And by the way, the state legislature said you have to show voter ID. You have to utilize the signature in order to be able to vote. And some county elections commissioners say no. In Pennsylvania, the state Secretary of State entered into a friendly lawsuit settlement with the League of Women Voters just before the election to change the administration of the election. Now, if you want to change it, you have to go to the state legislature to do that. So, and there are so many different examples. I mean, even in New York State, there was one time we caught it where Governor Cuomo opened up this portal where you can go in and request absentee ballots for 3,000 people if you wanted to. Now, you're not allowed to do that in New York, but they created a portal where you were allowed to do that, and they were doing that until we were able to get the portal shut. And I care about, listen, anyone who's out there, it's about if you one vote.
Right.
That's it. We want to make it easy for you to vote. You're a legal voter. We want to make it easy for you to vote. We also want to make it as close to impossible to cheat. And voter ID is something that's really popular across the entire board.
It is.
There are Democrats out there who support voter ID, and there's just no reason with all the different ways that you have to show an ID to live life.
Right.
The idea that you can't simply show an ID in order to vote is crazy.
It's insane.
It's absolutely nuts. But, and as we see, every vote matters. Our friend Claudia Tenney upstate, what'd she win by? 86 votes?
Something crazy.
I worked for
They were finding ballots in desk straws.
And what was incredible was that you had the Democrat election lawyer Mark Elias challenge that election, challenge the results of a federal election, and he said that the machine switched votes. That's what he said. It was in his lawsuit. I mean, I looked at it. I thought you couldn't say that.
Yeah, Stacey
and now
Abrams,
here he is saying it.
Stacey Abrams still hasn't accepted the result
she thinks
of that
she's
election.
the governor of Georgia.
Well, that's why they had to make her president of Earth in Star Trek.
Right.
So we want to have let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
If you have a concern, you have an idea to make elections work better. I mean, we still have 2022 and 2023 and 2024 and all the years that are ahead. I want this republic to be able to survive any challenges that we face in decades, generations, centuries ahead. We want people to be able to have trust and faith in the process. The best way to do that is to talk to each other, not past each other. And unfortunately, some folks, they just refuse to have this conversation and to make our elections as secure as possible, because you know what, their candidate is in that particular office that they sought. So then, ends justify the means. I don't even want to have a conversation with you. It's the wrong answer.
No, that's awesome. Well, we know you're a busy guy. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you, where you're going to be, let everyone know whatever you can say, and how they can help you out in our quest to take back New York. Because I know you're a busy guy. I know you've got places to be. We're already 10 minutes over how long, but we appreciate your time. But let everyone know where they can find you, how they can help out.
ZeldinForNewYork.com, Zeldin. It's all spelled out, FOR. ZeldinForNewYork.com. We're on social media too. Republican Party primary coming up Tuesday, June 28th for any registered Republicans out there. And then we're now less than 6 months away from a November 8th election. You could go to the website, sign up to volunteer. You could donate $2 if you want to go donate $2. I don't take that the wrong way. As of our last fundraising report in January, we had 34,000 donations.
Wow.
A lot of people donating $1, $2, $5. It all adds up. There are people out there, they're phone banking, they're knocking on doors. It's all across all 62 counties of this state. If you want to send in a message to the page, we're just going to continue traveling around New York. So anyone who's listening anywhere in New York, we will be back in your county before this election. We're just going to keep taking nothing for granted, as I mentioned earlier, because I feel like we have a great opportunity. It's not about jumping on some wave that we're just going to ride in. We have to work for this. When we wake up early until right before we go to sleep to advance the ball, we'll continue to have events here on Long Island, but all throughout New York. And I would just ask everybody out there to tell all of your friends, especially if they're registered Republicans, to get involved now. Vote in the Republican primary Tuesday, June 28th. The best way to win in November isn't to win the primary by 5 points.
No.
We want to crush this primary, to have all of the momentum that we need to get into the summer, fall, focus on the main event, and that's taking out Kathy Hochul. That's electing a conservative governor of the state of New York again, to have a balance of power here, to save our state, to save our country. This is a rescue mission to save our state, and losing this race is not an option.
We can't wait. One of the best things that I heard you say when I actually had COVID last April and you had just gotten into the race, you were on with Mark Levin. I was driving to, I wasn't driving anywhere. I was driving home from picking up some ibuprofen. I wasn't supposed to be out, but, but I just said, hey, I'm listening. And I heard you say it's time to play, instead of playing defense in red states, it's time to play offense in blue states. And that's when I said, this guy, that's it. We've always liked him, and that was the answer I was looking for. Offense in blue states. Let's take it back. We're really excited.
Playing, instead of being on defense and losing.
Right.
In red states,
right.
It's about being on offense and winning.
In blue.
In the blue states, and we're going to have an opportunity to do it. We saw it last November 2nd, Suffolk and Nassau, and I'm a Long Islander. I'm born and raised. I live here. I'm raising my family here. We saw Suffolk County DA flip, Suffolk County Legislature flip, Nassau County Executive, Nassau County District Attorney, Town of North Hempstead. Other seats went blue to red. New York City Council seats, blue to red. Upstate towns from Colony to Hornell. Everyone's talking about what happened in Virginia with the governor's race.
Yeah.
We saw it this past November 2nd on both sides of the ballot. The constitutional amendments on the other side, where people voted down same-day voter registration, no excuse absentee balloting, and also that redistricting amendment, which they ignored, and that's why they ended up losing their hyper-partisan, their gerrymandered districts as a result of it. But we have the momentum right now. And there are Democrats, too, or who are hitting their breaking point in the state, and they're saying, that's it.
Yep.
I'm gone. If I could go to Florida, or I could go to the Carolinas or Tennessee or Texas, my money goes further, I feel safer, I live life freer, so I'm gone. Right now, we are talking about the issues that matter most to New Yorkers, the attacks that need to get reversed on wallets, safety, freedom, our kids' education. So the Democrats, they're trying to change the subject. They don't want to talk about the issues that matter most to New Yorkers, but this isn't about just what resonates most with conservatives or Republicans or even independents. Democrats, too, are deciding every day, that's it, I'm gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not a safe place. So we thank you for joining us today. The next governor of New York State, this is Lee Zeldin, ladies and gentlemen. He's here.
It's great to be with you guys.
And we always appreciate it. We appreciated even the support that you showed in the face of the SPLC. That meant a lot to us, and
yes,
meant a lot to our supporters as well.
Well, listen, I mean, what we're talking about here, you want government to be accountable to the people.
Right.
You care about protecting freedom, protecting rights. You care about following the actual science. So when advocating against that 4-year-old having to wear a mask right now inside of a school, you don't think that somebody who had COVID 3 weeks ago should lose their job today because they're not getting the shot. When you look at the individual positions that we have, it's about government working better.
Right.
It's not about not having a government.
Right.
It's about having a government that's more responsive to, to tax dollars, to freedom, to safety for our kids. So, I had no problem going to bat. That is a liberal, biased, partisan group, an agenda that is not looking with eyes wide open on how to be neutral, reasonable, and fair. And I'm just calling balls and strikes here.
No, we appreciate it. Probably
Thank
the
you
most
so
friendly
much.
umpire that I've ever had.
Yes,
calling balls
definitely.
and strikes. So, really appreciate it.
As a lifelong catcher, I've never had an umpire that good, so that's pretty good.
Well, thank you for joining us, future Governor Lee Zeldin. It's been a pleasure, and hopefully we'll catch you soon.
You guys, see you guys.
Yeah.
Thank
See
you.
you.
Alrighty, so that was the governor, the next governor of the state, Lee Zeldin. Really incredible, a great segment that we just
That
had
was
there. The
great.
biggest guest that we've ever had, and obviously, we really appreciate the time.
Yeah,
so
we got
we're here
about,
with you for another 20 minutes.
Guys, before we head over to what we were going to talk about,
Yes.
guys, head on over to loudmajorityus.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out the shop. If you're on Facebook, smash that follow button. Even if you think you're following, you're probably not. Instagram @loudmajority. Rumble.com/loudmajorityus. You guys know that's where the cool kids are hanging out. Loudmajority.locals.com for our after show on Fridays. To our premium subscribers, we thank everybody who comes in and checks that out. That's loudmajority.locals.com for our after show. It's really interactive. You get to find things out before everyone. All the locals people, they knew who was coming in today. Right?
they did.
If you're in the chat right now and you're on locals, let them know. You knew that Lee Zeldin was coming in a week ago. So, once again, I just want to thank Congressman, future Governor, Lieutenant Colonel Lee Zeldin for coming in here. We didn't even get a chance to really talk about that.
What's that?
About his almost 20 years of military experience.
Yeah, he brought it up a few times.
yeah.
He did bring it up a few times. I just want to. Oops. Why'd that freeze? There we go. I just want to, look. I mean, you have this entire platform that what Congressman Zeldin, future Governor Zeldin, just spoke about is and exemplifies putting America first. You had energy independence that we touched on. We touched on COVID. We touched on mandates. We touched on what he can do as the chief executive of New York State. Right. We touched on all of those different things with Lee Zeldin, and I would love to have more time. Obviously, it's hard to squeeze everything into 30 minutes, but I mean, we even went into voter ID and what goes into having a secure election. Folks, if you don't feel comfortable after that, there may be another time where we speak with future Governor Zeldin, but that was right there, really what I wanted to show you and put on display for everybody. This is the real deal. This is the strongest. He is the strongest candidate that New York has had in the race for governor in probably the last 20 or 30 years. And I can't wait for Governor Lee Zeldin to be a reality here in the state of New York. Obviously, you see the backdrop changed a little bit behind us. But we have more to talk about today for the next 20 minutes, as you know, in locals. And even Lee Zeldin's own mother, who's commenting in the chat, didn't know that he was going to be a part of the program today. I texted her maybe, 20 minutes before, said, I got a surprise for you this morning. And so locals knew.
Locals knew.
And Lee Zeldin's own mom didn't know that he was going to be here. So
Exactly.
locals knows things before anybody knows things.
Locals knows best.
And it really is. So if you got loudmajority.locals.com, head on over there. If you're over on the Cool Kids table, unbelievable. Please do me a favor. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button over on Rumble. Killing it again on the Cool Kids table. We were crushing on Facebook today. Do me a favor. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the share button. Share the link everywhere. If you're all over Rumble, if you're on YouTube, you do what you got to do. This is probably going to be a tough one to keep up. Because we talked about repealing vaccine mandates. YouTube doesn't really like that.
Not a fan. But you know what, guys? You know what? I'm sure a lot of you got your questions answered by Congressman Zeldin today. We could have sat here with him all day and, not answered every single question every person has. But we hope that a lot of your questions got answered, about mandates, about education, about
just about everything.
A slew of other things.
Wants to get safety, New York, about voter ID. I know everyone has questions about election integrity and voter ID and all of these things. Again, that's one of the points on future Governor Zeldin's 10-point plan is voter identification and substance, not just taglines and whatnot. But I was going to, we had Lee Zeldin coming in, and this was not something I'd planned on asking him directly, but we're gonna bring it up now for the remaining 15, 20 minutes of the show, and that is that there is a disturbing bill in the New York State Senate right now. In the state legislature, there is a bill in the New York State Senate.
Before we do that, and Merrill, I just posted it to your group.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. So there is a bill. There are actually two, but there is one that I want to continue, talk about first in the New York State Senate, and you're going to love the way this one sounds. It is currently in a committee, the Internet and Technology Committee in the Senate, and it requires social media networks to provide and maintain mechanisms for reporting hateful conduct on their platform, kind of like the new Disinformation Board. New York State may be getting its own Ministry of Truth. How about this, chat? Would you like to guess which New York State senator authored the disinformation bill? Chat, you may know this person very well. Which New York State senator do you believe
who could it be?
Authored the disinformation bill? I'm going to let the chat guess it. I know they're on about a 15 to 30 second delay. And over on the Cool Kids table, I think the delay is just a little bit shorter. Chat, who do you think it was who authored and put forth the disinformation bill?
And Jessica's got the right answer.
And I see Jessica. Where is Jessica?
On Facebook.
On Facebook. Jessica on Facebook has the right answer. Let me go back and bounce over that. Jessica Sarlo has the right answer. It is not Chuck Schumer. No, a state senator, not a federal senator, folks. Not a federal senator, a state senator. Yes. I'm seeing it. No. Federal. Chuck Schumer is a federal senator. Then there's the state Senate, and the answer, obviously, is she from the North Shore of Long Island? Yes, she is from the North Shore.
When you know it, Johnny.
Johnny Cafaro's got it right. There's a lot of people who think it's Chuck Schumer. That's a confusion. It's not he's a federal senator. Yes, Krisha L68, the despicable Anna Kaplan. That is correct. Kaplan. So she's a state lawmaker, not a federal lawmaker like Chuck Schumer. So there's a bunch of state senators. There's two federal senators that go to to Washington, D.C. and vote on legislation that will impact the states federally. And then there's state senators who make the laws within our states. Anna Kaplan, the despicable Anna Kaplan.
57 of those.
There's 57 of those, and she is one of them. And she is currently...
And the next one will be named Jack Martins.
Yes, the next one will be named Jack Martins. And she currently has in the state Senate a bill that wants to target, would you know it, misinformation and hate speech on social media. The title of the bill, an act to amend the general business law in relation to requiring social media networks to provide and maintain mechanisms for reporting hateful conduct on their platform. Purpose: this legislation would require social media. We read the purpose a billion times. Let me get you to A. Hateful conduct means the use of a social media network to vilify, humiliate, or incite violence against a group or class of persons on the basis of race, color, religion, ethnicity, national origin, disability, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression.
Hold on a minute. Now,
I'm holding on.
Do you guys notice that there's one classification of people, one way to classify people that isn't named there?
Go. What is that?
Political affiliation. Wait a minute. So does that mean that it would not be okay for us to say that a man can't be a woman?
Right.
But it would be okay for, say, Anna Kaplan to compare us to the Oklahoma City Bombers?
Of course.
Of course. Look at that. Isn't that a weird thing?
And the premise that she
Kaplan
used
is actually communist. It means one eyebrow.
Oh, Jesus. And here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. Okay,
I tried not to break character on
Holy
that
moly! Here's the kicker on it. And my voice is cracking because that was really funny.
I've been holding on to that one all weekend for you.
But notice that she's been pointing at us and saying, They're attacking LGBTQ. They're attacking LGBTQ. They're attacking LGBTQ. They're racist. They're xenophobic. Racist, xenophobic. Now we find out that she's got this bill that's in the committee that you'll go over how that advances from the committee to go into a vote to the governor's office. She, I think, and I think it's clear as day now, want social media networks to, and by the way, these processes already exist. So there's no reason to add this into law. You can report posts on Facebook, you can report posts on Twitter, you can report posts on Instagram, you can report posts all over the place. You can report them on TikTok, you can report them on YouTube. These mechanisms exist. Why are we amending the law in New York State? I think what she's looking for, and obviously what she wants to give government the power to do, is have access to those lists and begin targeting those groups and those people who are, quote unquote, expressing hateful conduct. Moreover, what I really think is the end game here, and the reason why she keeps pointing out what we do and what we say and when we exercise our freedom of speech and our rights, is that she wants to come in and basically use us, use you, use everybody here, use our wonderful movement as an example and a reason to pass her law. Because you know what? She doesn't have a law license. Did you know that?
Of course she doesn't.
Anna Kaplan does not have a law license, but she's in New York State right now writing law. Isn't that interesting? And she writes horrible law.
And the internet,
this law would not allow her to write things like defund the police.
And the internet and technology committee currently, wouldn't you know it? Wouldn't you know that the vote right now is 5 Democrats to 2 Republicans?
Oh, no way.
Oh, no way.
No way.
And one of the Democrats on there is a person named Jessica Ramos, who is crazy.
Oh, she's nuts.
She's crazy.
So how about you tell everybody, though, it's in the Internet and Technology Committee,
Yes.
in the state Senate.
In the state Senate.
There is an accompanying assembly bill also in the same committee in the assembly.
So what has to happen
So what
is
happens?
both bills have to pass. Where the hell am I? Both bills have to pass
There you
both
are.
committees.
Yes.
Once that happens, it will then be brought to the floor. It has to sit on the floor for 3 days before it is called for a vote. That's some archaic rule because it took people 3 days to get from Montauk to Albany on horseback.
Right.
It has to sit there for 3 days and then it can be brought up for a vote. Now, so I want to be clear. Now, any person can put forth any absurd law they want and have it sent to a committee. When it is voted on in committee, that is when the process truly begins. Any person, you could put, legalize all guns in the state of New York. That doesn't mean it's ever going to see a vote in committee.
Right.
You could put forth the craziest bill, New York seceding from the Union. That doesn't mean it's ever going to see a vote. So the fact that this is in committee right now, we'll wait for Chairwoman Savino, who I have my own views on her because she yelled at me in an elevator one time.
She worked in the state Senate.
Yeah, she yelled at me in an elevator, and she's a tough cookie. So,
Yeah.
Italian from Staten Island.
Yeah.
She don't take no crap.
Yeah.
But she yelled at me.
She did. Did you deserve it?
I was eating my lunch. I was eating a sandwich in the elevator, and she wasn't too thrilled about it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure she doesn't even, not that she's going to watch this, but there's not a chance she remembers. It was like 6 years ago. But it stuck with me because I remember thinking when she started chastising me, I'm like, oh, wow, you sound like somebody from home.
Yeah, and here's the second part of the law. A social media network that conducts business in the state shall provide and maintain a clear and easily accessible mechanism for individual users to report incidents of hateful conduct. Such mechanism shall be clearly accessible to users of such network and easily accessed from both a social media network's application and website, and shall allow the social media network to provide a direct response to any individual reporting hateful conduct, informing them of how the matter is being handled. I mean, I am all about having maybe the social media networks answer back, but do you honestly think that she wants to give anybody like us a fair shake online? There's not a chance in hell. And there's parts of the laws that it shall not be construed as an invasion or an infringement on people's freedoms and rights and liberties, and this is a 100% BS. She's got another one of these laws. I forget what it was, the 4535 or something like that. It was an Anna Kaplan bill. I could probably go to her state profile and find out what bills that she's got in the state Senate. But there's another one that's almost identical to this one that's in the state Senate right now. That has to do with election misinformation.
And wouldn't you know it? Just let's say you're from like the middle of Long Island, from like Levittown to Queens. State Senator Kevin Thomas is on the Internet and Technology Committee. He would be your state senator, Kevin Thomas. Mm-hmm. So if you guys are in the 6th Senate District, you can call your representative, Kevin Thomas, and you can say, hi, do you plan on voting yes on this nonsense bill?
Right.
I'm not telling anybody to call anybody. I'm just saying if you live from Levittown West, directly in the middle of Long Island, let's say probably along the LIE and south, maybe, maybe pick up the phone.
Yeah, it's certainly possible.
Certainly possible.
That you can make some noise on this issue. I mean,
or if you
I
want to
don't
call
think...
Jessica Ramos, because there's no telling what she'll say on the phone, because that woman is... Whoo.
So here's the second bill that I was talking about. Senate Bill 4531A requires social media networks to provide and maintain mechanisms for reporting election misinformation on their platform. Another one from the beautiful, despicable Anna Kaplan. And again, an act to amend the general business law in relation to requiring social media networks to provide and maintain mechanisms for reporting election misinformation on their platform. And here's what the law says here. It's but the let me see where is it? Election misinformation means a public expression, either verbally, in writing, or through images, which intentionally is misleading about a federal, state, or local election. By that definition, Stacey Abrams is not allowed on Facebook.
Wait, so are you this law?
This law,
were it passed, would
yes
criminalize memes?
Yeah, it would criminalize memes.
Criminalize memes.
Criminalize our activity.
Criminalize memes.
Criminalize Stacey Abrams' opinion.
What is going on?
That is, but that's
See,
where we
the
are.
left can't meme.
Right. And so they want to outlaw memes.
So they want to outlaw memes.
They want to outlaw everything they're bad at.
Did you see that one crazy...
You know, it's like when I played, if
that
I was
one
to play...
crazy woman on Twitter put a picture of Pennywise over my face. And I was just sat there, I was like,
Oh, we know who that is. Yeah. It's our favorite man lady wearing fishnets at the craft fair that gets kicked out of places that nobody ever gets kicked out of, but that's who that is.
Crazy Lisa.
Very crazy Lisa. She's a crazy person and a horrible person. Think about it. But you have it. Anna Kaplan making examples of us, I believe, trying to use us, use our platform, and use you, everybody who's watching, everybody who watched the episode earlier, everybody who's here, everybody, all the patriots and great conservatives and just deplorables out there, right? Trying to use us. There is no guidelines for what misinformation actually is. There's no criteria that has to be met for something to be considered misinformation. They're trying to use us as a means to pass this law to restrict free speech in the state of New York, and you know it.
Wouldn't you know it? I just found a way better map of Kevin Thomas's district, who's on the internet committee. So that would be Farmingdale, Bethpage, Levittown, East Meadow, Uniondale, the north end of Rockville Center, all the way coming right up to Lower Westbury, Lower Mineola, also North Massapequa. Not that he's going to get any votes there anyway, but North Massapequa, what's next to Massapequa? North Seaford, right over there. But East Meadow, that's going to be the heart of Kevin Thomas's district. If you're over there, give your state senator a call and ask him about the misinformation bill. And as well, let's just see where Jessica Ramos is from. Let's see where that crazy...
There is
this is a good episode.
Yeah, we're gonna.
I'm not going to curse.
Crazy, whoo.
Woo!
Crazy honk honk.
All right, that would be
Jessica Ramos.
Well, we've spent plenty of time in this neighborhood.
Yeah,
that would be Corona, Queens, Jackson Heights, over on Ditmar, Steinway, East Elmhurst, and a little bit of Sunnyside. Wait a minute. I think this is where I was born.
There you have it.
If you're anywhere near Flushing Meadows Park or the New York Hall of Science, please call Jessica Ramos and ask her why she's insane.
There is somebody in the Cool Kids table by the name of Big Hook. He comments a lot. Says he misses Vanna. Can you give him a taste until we get our backdrop back? I'd like to buy a vowel.
Guys, head on over to Loud Majority US.
Head over to loudmajorityus.com. Sign up for the newsletter, loudmajority.locals.com. This way you'll know the next time Lee Zeldin's here.
Yeah.
Because they all knew on the after show. I saw Dennis commenting over on the Cool Kids table, Dennis Ruiz from East Hampton, talking about, I knew there were a lot of people. I know there were so many folks on the local stream last Friday. They knew for the last 2 weeks. They knew. They also knew that we listened to funny music. Tie Me Kangaroo Down. It's a shame we didn't get to sing that with the governor. There goes the blue stuff.
And everyone got to hear my new impression.
Yes, everyone got to hear Kevin doing Gilbert Gottfried, blowing my eardrum out. You know, I still probably haven't recovered from that, but that's okay. It's all right. But folks, loudmajority.locals.com. We do have fun. We goof around. It's a little bit of behind the scenes, closer access to who we are and what we're doing. But it's also sometimes you get to get in on some things. We went through the whole calendar when we were on the West Local stream.
Where I'm going to be.
Yeah.
I can't do it on here because they rock crazy.
These crazy people.
There's crazy people that watch this stream, and I enjoy being alive.
And we're happy to have surprised you, Boca Bubby.
Yes.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, Meryl.
And happy Mother's Day to everybody who celebrated yesterday. All the big, beautiful moms. You know, you're wonderful people. I just have to say,
happy
beautiful
Mother's
moms.
Day to all the mothers out there fighting for their kids.
Yes.
Moms for Liberty. You guys are kicking ass.
Moms for Liberty.
You know, it's
save our schools.
you know what? I'll say it here.
Good.
I made a little bit of a boo-boo.
What?
I think I owe somebody an apology.
Who's this?
Brianna.
Oh.
I overreacted a little bit.
Oh. Well, listen.
I'll message her after the thing's
Moms
over.
for Liberty, Suffolk, Moms for Liberty, Nassau. We love them. They're doing a great job. School boards are coming. You just heard the next governor of New York mention how important it's going to be to get out and vote. And yes, starting tomorrow night, we will have interviews. We will be doing a school board interview. I'm going to try and get 2 people on. 30 minutes. We're going to have a good run. So tomorrow
this Saturday, guys, if you're in Kings Park, or if you have some free time, I'm going to be getting the information. I can see Amanda's got the hands in the air. We're going to be needing some help for Handsome Doug and Jamie over at Kings Park. We're going to be setting up walk days for as many candidates as we can over the course of next week.
Yes.
You know, door hangers, putting out lawn signs. Guys, this is go time.
Crunch time, baby.
Crunch time.
We're going to do it.
You know, and believe me, look, if you don't think they're worried, 4 pages in Newsday.
Front page, baby.
They're terrified. They're page 1 through.
And you know what's even funnier?
1, 2, 3, 4. Well,
you know what's even funnier about this?
4.
All right. Well, while we're talking about counting, let's just let's cover ourselves by saying we at least know how to count who won the game.
Yes, we don't know. We still don't know who won this game.
Holden McGroin knows. We can interview him.
Holden
but this, right here, you see this? And they're not even finding new bad things to say about us anymore. It's over. They know. Don't stay home. Get out and vote. Make them run out of ballots like they ran out in the Smithtown School library district.
Election, guys.
All right? Big.
So this Saturday, we're going to be in Kings Park. So if there's any people that don't like us in the chat, come say hello. I'll give you some door hangers. You can go put them up in your neighborhood.
That's right.
Because we're going to win anyway.
Yes.
So to hell with you all.
That's right.
But
that's it. Let's wrap it up, baby.
Let's wrap it up, baby. Woo!
That was a good episode. Thank you for joining. Thank you again to Congressman and future governor and current Army Reserve Colonel, Lieutenant Colonel Lee Zeldin. He was here, just spoke. You can listen to the first half of the show. You'll hear it all. Remember to subscribe on Rumble, rumble.com/loudmajorityus, loudmajority.locals.com.
How close are we to 1,000?
We are 18 subscriptions
We are
away
18
from
away.
1,000, folks. We have been killing it on Rumble. Really, really love you. So please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, and remember to repeat these 4 words over and over and over again until the people in power either get it, get the hell out of our way, or they're starting to do a good job now.
They're starting to pave the roads.
Starting to pave the roads. But we're still going to say it over and over and over again until Alvin Bragg is fired and the COVID mandates are repealed and the vaccine fired workers are back with back pay like we just heard and the kids are no longer being indoctrinated. That if we do not consent, we will not comply. I say thank you. I say God bless you. I say God bless America. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. You can find us anywhere you get your podcast by searching We Will Not Comply, and we will be back. I'll be back probably tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow night doing some school board interviews.
Yes.
I'm going to try and get some folks on. But until then, and until Wednesday morning for the next live stream, tie me kangaroo down, stop complying with your unlawful mandates, and as always, stay loud.